Hello, hello. Good morning. This is Asha. If this is your first time engaging with my content or tuning in, and I wanted to come and talk to you a bit about sort of what I've been, realizing. Was just in the middle of like my morning journaling, and then I got this idea and more ideas, but thoughts. So I wanted to capture them in an easy way. And what I've realized is that since I've moved to a city, not like a little town, since I've moved to a city, I live in Austin, Texas now. It is, and before this, I was nomadic. So I spent so much time alone, a lot of time alone. Even though I was traveling all over, most of those travels were alone. And once I got to that new place, I spent a lot of that time alone. And now that I'm in a city and I'm engaging with people on a daily basis, consistently, and having to, deal with things like traffic and just being around folks, all types of people, what I've noticed is that I've been observing things that don't feel good. I've been observing people talking about things that don't feel good. I've been observing events happening that don't feel good. I have been, that's just been sort of, it's all around. And so I've been seeing it. And sometimes I give my attention to it. Sometimes I don't. But what I have noticed is that since I moved here to Austin, that my own thoughts have become overall less positive and less desirable than they used to be when I was nomadic. And I really came to this. It wasn't like I just realized it right now. It's something that I sort of saw happening and was like, okay, I see this. This is going to work itself out somehow. And I would say that overall my thoughts are a little bit more positive now than they were like the first 2 or 3 weeks I got here. There was a lot of negative thoughts I was having. But there are a lot less now, which is great. But some of them but there's still some there. And I still find myself noticing things that don't feel good. And so excuse me. So I just find this all interesting. And I had this period where I was upset, I was having these negative thoughts, and it was sort of getting in the way. And I'm like, these negative thoughts, I can totally see how some of these things that are happening now that I'm experiencing in my reality are the result of these negative thoughts. And I was like, something needs to change here immediately. And what the realization ultimately is that there's a ton of people, a lot of people live or operate in a setting in which I am in, which is they live and work in a busy city. And there are things happening all around them that don't feel good. And there are people talking about things that don't feel good, that they don't want. And I realized the blessing in this is that this is an opportunity for me to find a way. And even in the midst of this, even while my point of attraction isn't exactly where I want it to be. Because if you're listening to this, you very well may be in the same place. You may be working a job that doesn't serve you. You may be working with people who are constantly complaining or talking about things that don't feel good. You may have family members that are constantly complaining and talking about things that don't feel good. You may be going to work or going to the grocery store or going wherever and then just seeing things happen that don't feel good. And it's like when it's constantly something you're seeing, well then how do you shift that, right? And what I can say is that the shift starts within. It of course starts with us, starts with you. And what is important to know and to begin to integrate is that what you focus on, you begin to see more of. And so what I feel like I was doing or did for a lot of the time was, well, I would just avoid or not look at things outside me that don't feel good. And when I would notice them, I would just focus on something else. I would look away. I would turn my attention elsewhere. And that can work. That can work. And that's worked for me for a long time. But what's even more effective, and you can do these two things together, what's even more effective is changing your ruminations, changing your internal thoughts to be on things that you want, to be on things that feel better. So let's say you, just an example of something that you could ruminate on would be puppies, right? You could daydream. Let's say you don't have a puppy, or let's say you do. Let's say you have a dog. Let's say that your go-to thing to get yourself in a good feeling place is you just think about all the times that you have fun with your dog. Maybe it even happened today, right? You think about all the times you have fun with your dog. You don't have a dog, just imagine you got a dog and that you guys, a little puppy, you guys are playing, cuddling, and it was just, you're just having a ball. And it was just like the most fun, free thing. And the puppy always makes you laugh. It licks your face, and you feel the love of the puppy, and you feel the love you show to the puppy, and that feels really, 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 really good. That feels so good, right? And so if you make your intention to have your internal thoughts mostly, whenever you can, think about it on this animal, then what you will begin to do is, because your focus is mostly there, you will begin to attract more thoughts and more situations where you feel those emotions. Not necessarily where you attract dogs, although that probably will happen. But it's more what's happening in essence is that you're attracting situations that are based on the emotions you feel. And so you begin to attract more situations where you feel that emotion, even though what you're focusing on isn't physical. It's in your imagination, it's in your mind, it's inside of you, right? And so when you do that, it's a lot easier to have control over what's happening in your head, over what you think about, than over what's outside of you. Because by the time it's manifested in your physical reality, it's old news. It's everything that's physical that we can see is the result of prior thoughts and emotions that were felt. Plain and simple. That's it. So the way you get ahead of it is by changing your thoughts, changing what you think about, what you daydream about, what you ruminate about. Because when you change your thoughts, you begin to change your reality. And then you'll begin to notice that you're not seeing as much. You're not seeing as many things that you don't want. You're not even noticing it. Someone will be like, oh, did you see that car accident? And then it just so happened that by the time you turn and look, you're already past it. You can't even see it. People might be talking about how so-and-so did something that was mean, or they blocked this person, or they were sending all these messages, blah, 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 putting all these posts out, and you had no idea. You've had no interactions with this person at all. It just didn't come to you. It didn't come to you because it's not the vibration that you've been at majority of the time. And that's how it begins to work. And so what I would say to you, if you are noticing things that you don't want, you're noticing you're in conversations that don't feel good, you're noticing that more and more and more often than not, you're thinking about things that don't feel good, right? Maybe you're thinking about the past that doesn't feel good. Maybe you're thinking about future things that could happen that don't feel good. None of that's helpful. All that means is you're just going to keep attract situations and events and thoughts where you don't feel good. And the whole point is to change that, right? To have more control over what happens in our lives. And I think it would be, I'd be really confused if you were here because you didn't want to think better thoughts. Or if you were here because you didn't want to feel better. So you're here because you want to feel better. And so what you need to start with is thinking better feeling thoughts, right? I want you to pick 3 things that when you think about that are easy to think about, that make you feel good, right? I'll give some examples. 1, puppies. I love puppies. This morning I thought about a kitty cat. I want to get a kitty cat in the future. So I was thinking about a kitty cat. Think about a cute animal. Second thing, I have some fake sunflowers on my altar I'm looking at right now. I love flowers, especially sunflowers. So I often feel and imagine flowers and flower petals falling from the sky and brushing against my skin and just feeling blessed by the flowers. That is an example of something pleasant and easy for me to think about. And the third thing I could think about, what else do I think about when I want to feel good? I think about lying in bed. I really love sleeping and napping. It's just so healing and important for me. And on my bed, I always have just the most softest, luxurious feeling, like fleecy blanket, and it's ginormous. And so I imagine just laying in that bed and like gently rolling around on this blanket. Oh, excuse me. And feeling the safeness, the security, the softness, the pamperingness of that, and of being rested and rejuvenated and supported, all those feelings. So pick 3 things that are easy for you to think about and feel good about. These are going to be your mental oases that you go to and that you try to live in all of the time. And what's going to be critical is when you are seeing something that doesn't feel good, you hear something that doesn't feel good, you think something doesn't feel good, you, as soon as you can, go to these internal oases. And you are going to shift your vibration. You're going to focus on something that feels better. You're going to do it. And you're going to feel the shift. At first, it's going to feel maybe a bit like tension. It's going to feel like, oh, this feels hard. Yeah, that's because you're actively changing your emotional vibrational state. You're changing your frequency. That's what's happening. That's why you feel this tension, because there's a difference between how you're feeling and what you should be feeling, right? What your soul is feeling, what your spirit is feeling. When you feel good, that's when you know that you're in alignment with who you truly are. So, give it a try. I'd love to hear how this goes for you, what it feels like for you. I'm always really interested in knowing what other people's experiences are of these practices, of implementing these things. So, comment below if you want to send me a DM, send me a message, and tell me about your experience. And I want to share the best one with the audience. So the most interesting one, the one I think, one that resonates with me the most, I'll go ahead and share that one with everyone so that we all can benefit and grow and learn. If you have not already, go ahead and like, subscribe, follow, what have you. Go ahead and comment and tell me if you're going to do this at the very least. And if you're not, I need a good reason why. Because if you made it all the way through this video, that was for a reason. That was absolutely for a reason. And so, isn't it worth it just to give yourself the fighting chance, the opportunity, not even fighting chance, the easiest opportunity to bring more happiness, success, joy, ease into your life? And then finally, share this video, share it on your feed, share it in your stories, share it in an email. Talk about it. Talk about this with the people in your life. Talk about this with your friends. Talk about it with your family. Talk about it with those people who are complaining. I guarantee you that if you talk about it with those people who are talking about things that don't feel good, that some of them might be interested in talking about that. Some of them will be like, oh, you don't want to listen to me complain? Or I'm going to find someone else who will listen to me complain. And then also your problem solved. But yes, go ahead and share this. Let's spread this information, spread this knowledge, spread this content, spread, this way of thinking that really brings power and control back to ourselves, which is where it has always been. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for participating with your vibration and with your ears. And I will see you in the next one. Have a lovely day.